Skylanders is a toys-to-life action-adventure video game franchise published by Activision. Skylanders games are played by placing a character's figure on the Portal of Power, a device that reads its tag using NFC and imports them into the game as a playable character, leveling them up and saving its progress on the figure to potentially be used on a different game or even console with all its saved stats. Skylander figures are sold separately from the game itself unless you buy the starter pack. Typically, the starter pack for each game contains 2 or more Skylanders, a Portal of Power, the game disc, and sometimes something else to show off the game's newest feature. The games take place in Skylands, a realm of floating islands located at the center of the universe that is often threatened by evil forces who seek to rule it and gain access to all worlds. For generations, a band of heroes known as the Skylanders have worked with the Portal Masters to defend Skylands from evil and protect the Core of Light. The player, who is considered to be a Portal Master, commands the Skylanders to stop chaos and other evil threats. Each Skylander is associated with one of 10 elements: Earth, Air, Fire, Water, Magic, Tech, Life, Undead, Light, and Dark. The console versions of each game follow identical storylines, while the Nintendo 3DS versions have different stories. Spyro's Adventure is the first game in the series, and features 32 Skylanders, 4 for each of the 8 elements. The Skylanders seek to restore the Core of Light, which chaos destroyed, by collecting the eternal sources of each element and other components. Giants is the second installment in the series, and a direct sequel to Spyro's Adventure. It introduces a new team of Skylanders called the Giants, who were canonically the first Skylanders assembled to stop the Archaean's reign and are strong enough to lift, throw, and destroy trees and rocks. They must stop Chaos after he reactivates the Archaean Concordron and attempts to take over Skylands by resurrecting the Archaeans. Swap Force is the third installment in the franchise and takes place in another part of Skylands called the Cloudbreak Islands. It introduces a new group of Skylanders called the Swap Force, who have the ability to swap their top and bottom halves and abilities. Together, the Swap Force and the Skylanders fight to prevent Chaos and his mother from ruining the performance on Mount Cloudbreak. Trap Team is the fourth installment in the franchise. It introduces 2 new elements, the Light and Dark elements, as well as the Trap Masters and the Trap Mechanic. This mechanic allows players to trap special in-game enemies and element-specific elemental traps, which are shards of Traptanium. The trapped enemies can then be summoned as playable characters for a limited time, but can be used freely in the main hub. The Skylanders and the Trap Masters fight to stop Chaos and the Doom Raiders. Superchargers is the 5th installment in the series. It introduces a new group of Skylanders called the Superchargers, who pilot special vehicles of the land, sky and sea. The Skylanders must stop Chaos, who has used the Darkness's power to create the Sky Eater, and the Darkness, which has its own plans. Superchargers also featured a multiplayer racing game mode, very similar to the Mario Kart games. This racing game mode, however, is near impossible to play with other players. In 2024, the Nintendo console versions feature Donkey Kong and Bowser as turbocharged Donkey Kong and HammerSlam Bowser, along with their respective vehicles, the Barrel Blaster and Clown Cruiser. These figures and vehicles can only be scanned and used in-game on Skylanders, Superchargers, Racing, and Skylanders, Imaginators on Nintendo hardware. The characters, but not their vehicles, also function as amiibo figures. The Wii and 3DS versions of the game, titled Skylanders, Superchargers Racing, focus on racing and feature the Superchargers competing in a race sponsored by Panzergas to win a snow globe which will grant one wish. Superchargers was the last game to be released on tablets. Imaginators is the 6th installment in the series. which was developed by Toys for Bob. It was released on October 13, 2016, in Australia and New Zealand, on October 14, 2016, in Europe and on October 16, 2016, in North America. It was the only game in the series released for the Nintendo Switch. It allows players to create and customize their own Skylanders called Imaginators and train them under the senses. The Skylanders must stop Chaos, who is using mind magic to create Doomlanders with help from an ancient brain. Crash Bandicoot and Dr. Neocortex make guest appearances as playable characters, marking their first appearance in a video game since Crash Bandicoot Nitro Kart 2 in 2010. Their figures were initially exclusive to the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 starter packs, but were later released as a standalone double pack. In 2011, Activision released Skylanders Universe, an online browser-based multiplayer game that allowed players to interact in Skylands, play minigames, customize their own island, and log their Skylanders collection. Players could connect their portals to their computer to summon their Skylanders, like in the core series. The service has since been discontinued. Activision released spin-off games on mobile devices, including Cloud Patrol, Battlegrounds, Lost Islands, Collection Vault, mobile ports of Trap Team and Superchargers, Battlecast, and Ring of Heroes. Lauren Baileff composed the soundtracks for the games, while Hans Zimmer composed part of Spyro's Adventure's main theme. Imaginators does not use an original soundtrack, instead using music from previous games. Cavan Scott wrote a series of books, beginning with Skylanders, The Machine of Doom, which takes place before the events of Spyro's Adventure. He would later write the Skylanders, The Mask of Power series, which also serves as a prequel to Spyro's Adventure. Another series, Skylanders, Book of Elements, focuses on 2 elements in each installment, with Kubrick Brothers Creative writing the first and Barry Hutchison writing the second. Two art books, Strata, The Art of Skylanders, Swap Force and Clutch, The Art of Skylanders, Superchargers, were produced by Vicarious Visions. As employee exclusives, the only way to obtain them is through online sellers or charity events. IDW Publishing created a comic series associated with the Skylanders franchise which takes place in between games. The series was reportedly cancelled to avoid conflicting with Skylanders Academy, which used a different canon. In 2016, it was announced that Activision Blizzard Studios would produce an animated television series based on Skylanders. The first season debuted on Netflix on October 28, 2016, the second season on October 6, 2017, and the third and final season premiered on September 28, 2018. On April 30, 2019, it was announced that Skylanders Academy was cancelled. Activision has commented on the possibility of a movie based on Skylanders. On May 6, 2014, Activision CEO Eric Hirshberg announced that the Activision team had an interest in jumping on the film adaptation bandwagon and adapting Skylanders into a film. Following the release of Imaginators, the franchise went into hiatus, with speculation surrounding a 7th console installment. Nevertheless, future projects within the Skylanders universe were limited to the recent mobile game titled Ring of Heroes until its closure in 2022. The studios worked on other unrelated games until Activision Blizzard was acquired by Microsoft in January 2022. Activision CEO Bobby Kotick stated that Microsoft had interest in reviving some of the old studio's hit franchises, including Guitar Hero and Skylanders.